Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there.
How are you guys doing today?
Indeed, I hope everybody's doing really well.
Well, we're shaking, rattling, and rolling on the California-Nevada border, that's for sure.
Sure are, yep.
You know, we've had quite an uptick. You're looking at 362 reported earthquakes in 24 hours in this map area right here. And you can see this massive, massive swarm that is ongoing. And we are, very familiar with this area. As we were living pretty close to that, we have a magnitude 6 earthquake that strikes the eastern Sierra Nevada, shaking felt all the way over to the Bay Area. Yeah, according to USGS, the earthquake struck rural Mono County near the California-Nevada state line about 3:49 p.m. The earthquake struck an area known as the Antelope Valley Fault Zone, where there are several faults. Quake occurred as a result of normal faulting in the shallow crust of the North American plate. And boy, that gets me thinking about all the faults that there are throughout Nevada, for instance. Nevada is just loaded with faults. And I'll zoom out a little bit so we get a better idea where we're talking about. We're talking about an area basically south of Reno and Carson City. But as we know, the West Coast is definitely prone to quakes. As you can see, in 24 hours, 582 quakes that the USGS is showing. And of course, it doesn't seem like they always show everything, and I'm putting that nicely there. But that's a lot of quakes in this one particular zone.
It sure is. So this is something we definitely need to keep an eye on because it's not slowing down.
No, it's one of those things where we've been in the middle of them. We've felt some big ones. We felt Ridgecrest, the big one, and we also felt the big one up by Tonopah. Pretty wild experience because I had never felt a quake in my life until we experienced those two big ones, living most of my life really close to New York City. So here we see there's some solar activity going on as we see some flare class. Looks to be up in the C range. There's like 3 of them there. And we know that there's a direct correlation between what the sun does and what the earth does. Everything is interconnected, big time.
Yes, very much so. Very much so.
So they're investigating a major power outage in Central America that cut electricity to some 15 million residents. And the biggest impact was in Honduras and Nicaragua. They don't know what caused it yet.
I don't know about that. That looks pretty weird. I mean, with all these coincidences, so does that make us a coincidence theorist?
Yeah, maybe that's a safe way of putting things.
Yeah.
We're coincidence theorists.
Yes.
And by the way, we have new activity at 6 new volcanoes this week. So some new activity kicking off and ongoing was reported for 15 volcanoes. So more volcanic activity coming online. And we had such heavy rain from storms, flash flooding in New York City, subways, and people were stranded. There had to be rescues performed. And, as I shared with you guys, I basically grew up in Connecticut, so we were like 30 miles away from New York. And this is a rarity. But, rarities happen every day now. So big time flash flooding. Oh, and it's not just in New York. We had massive flooding too. And again, this is not from Elsa, over in Texas. And extreme Texas rainfall, flash flood emergency. And, we can't show everything because the videos would take, all day if we were to cover all the events. But massive flooding issues over in China, over in India as well, like record floods going on. Pretty much everywhere you look, we're having an excess of water or we're having these droughts. As you can see some of the areas. Look at that, 15.2 inches, Rockport, 9.1 Seadrift, 8 inches, Corpus Christi. That's a lot of water to come down. And these extremes, they just keep increasing. 6.5 inches in Northport, 3.7 in Cape Coral. We're jumping over to Florida here. You're looking at estimated rainfall. Yeah, Corpus Christi can be a little bit prone to flooding as well. And be mindful, too, that we have another severe heat wave coming into the west. Death Valley might be as high as 128 degrees coming through this weekend. Now, NOAA's declaring a La Nina watch for the fall. They're expecting La Nina conditions, and that's the opposite of the El Nino.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, well, what does it really mean? It typically means, according to the Prediction Center, in the United States, it's going to bring intense cold and snow to the northwest, unusually dry and chilly conditions to the majority of the southern tier. Australia gets cooler and wetter overall. Europe sees colder winters and extreme snowfall events. So in other words, it might be a replay of last year again.
Yeah, it could be.
And we have another explosive fire here. 50 killed, dozens injured, many feared trapped in a Bangladesh factory fire. We've seen so many of these events, and it does seem like people are split on thinking that the causes is, natural, perhaps geomagnetic, electric. Fortunately, at least 52 bodies been recovered from the rubble after a fire broke out at a food and drink factory near the Bangladesh capital of Dhaka, and more people are missing here. And then there's those that think that these things are artificially flavored, and then perhaps there's a mix therein.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. There's a mix therein. Let's all be very careful not to let ourselves be separated with these things, because there's all kinds of possibilities. Really, there is.
Yes, most definitely. So we got 2 Americans with ties to the assassination of the Haitian president that are being probed. Reuters says U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies are investigating James Solages, who's 35, and Joseph Vincent, who's 55, both from South Florida, and were arrested by the Haitian National Police on Thursday in connection with the president's slaying. The other interesting thing is that they've arrested many other people, and they're all from Colombia, basically. Colombia and ex-soldiers. Out of 24 Colombians arrested, 17 of them were ex-soldiers. So very interesting. What motivated 2 Americans and more than 24 Colombians to perform such a brazen assassination? If it was the case, was it money? And then who funded it? That's the other question. Why? This world is so full of contractors now. And it's like, there are corporations who basically have their own armies in this day and age. So very, very curious. It'll be interesting to see what's happening in Haiti as it starts to downpour here.
Yeah, I know.
And
Goodness.
you can see these guys are arrested. These are some of the weapons that they have. You see a little army shirt on right there. Things are very, very tangled, and there's so much deception in this world. It's incredible. So China reveals secret programming of unmanned drone submarines dating back to the 90s. Drone submarines test fired in Taiwan Strait without human input, declassified details suggest. Testing showed it could detect a mock craft, used AI to identify its origin, hit it with a torpedo. And there's something that feels so ominous about these drone submarines. Don't you feel that?
I do feel that. I don't like these drone submarines. I don't even like the word torpedo.
No. And so this is interesting because, again, in the CCP system, they don't have to tell anybody anything, ever. So how do we really know what's going? We don't. We don't really know the scope and the breadth of exactly where they are militarily. And of course, we've always alluded to the fact that there's controllers that are controlling all of these countries, in quotes. This was curious because this is a White House official who comes straight out and says, we do not support Taiwan independence. We do very much support Taiwan's dignity. I can't remember ever hearing anybody in a White House position of importance coming straight out and saying they don't support their independence.
Yeah.
Is that not about face, or did I miss something here? So this is White House Coordinator for Indo-Pacific, Kurt Campbell, said this week the U.S. does not support Taiwan independence. Question marks, large question marks everywhere floating around.
Yep, definitely with that one.
But as we know, and if you guys have been with us a long time, one of our family members who goes by the name Raven, he's talked about follow the money, follow the power, as we have for many, many years now. And there's been this push for a long time, a plan for a long time to shift that power towards China. Mm-hmm. Did you know we have an impending rubber apocalypse coming, by the way? Did you know that 90% of the world's rubber comes from Southeast Asia? And if there is a conflict, you won't be able to import it if that area is controlled by an opposing force.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't really like that substance anyway, but I could see definitely how it would impact the economy because they use it in almost everything, but maybe in some ways it's going to help us detox as a nation.
See, you're thinking in terms of the health and how petroleum products, oil derivatives, for instance, are actually in our foods.
Yeah.
And, we've talked a lot about health lately, and it's true. There are, the rubber mats. They're used for yoga. The same stuff, the same substance is in Subway's bread, as we were talking about. And there's so many things hidden, like carrageenan, known cancer-causing substance that is perfectly given the green light to go ahead and use it, even though it does, it will cause cancer. They actually inject it in rats. But think about other things here with this rubber apocalypse. What about the cost of tires? For instance, what about like all the other products that are out there? They will be skyrocketing.
Yep.
And again, we're preaching preparation, and you guys are preparing. I know every now and then we'll get like tweets, this is just fear mongering. Nothing's ever gonna happen. I'll believe it when I see it. Well, but that's the few, really. The majority of you guys, I'd say 96, 97% recognize that we are in different times. There's some different escalation going on here, that we haven't been in this situation in our generation anyway before.
Right. And what I was thinking too is the hospitals, they use a lot of that.
Hospitals as well, most definitely. So we wanted to share with you guys something that we use all the time, and that's silver, colloidal silver and nano silver. Here's an article from Dr. Axe. Do you know silver has been used for like 6,000 years as antiviral, antibacterial? 6,000 years. Mm-hmm. So in other words, it goes back as far as we can kind of go, as far as, in anything that is put down in writing, so to speak.
I know, it's really good stuff. If instead of, now I'm not a doctor, but, if someone were to say, I need antibiotics, I'm going to use colloidal silver because that will knock out whatever you got going on. And it's trained to take out the things that don't belong in your body. So with antibiotics, it wipes out all of everything. It just wipes out everything. It's blind to what it's killing. It just kills it. Colloidal silver is more specific in what it takes out. It takes out the bad bacteria.
Yeah, 6,000 years it's been used. And there's a reason silver and gold are valuable. And, when you think about it, what does antibiotic really mean? Well, it actually means like anti-life, right?
Yeah.
So, and again, it's scorched earth. When you do that, you're killing the good microbiome as well as the bad microbiome. Mm-hmm. You're killing everything. It is a scorched earth type of treatment. So this is something that we've had great use for. I have not used antibiotics in probably approaching 30 years, literally, and never had an instance where I needed to. I have used silver when I felt anything might be creeping in there, and have not had any issues with it, and so has Cindy. It's something that is natural, again, not artificially induced, and could most definitely help you. And I have another article here too for more people that want to do more research on this. And in this article, they're recommending nano silver. And again, we've used both. And the message that we keep getting from the guides is, boy, you better protect your health right now.
Yeah.
There's so much stuff going on. There's so much stuff around us environmentally, as well as in other ways, that are testing and challenging, poking and prodding at our immune systems. We have to be constantly kind of alternating between detoxing and really flooding our system with good stuff. So, we had the message again yesterday to focus mostly on fresh juices. Now, we were talking to a family member who was doing a juice fast, and then noticed, because they hadn't done it, I think, previously, and went and bought some V8s, and then looked and sees there's high fructose corn syrup in there. When we're talking a juice fast, we're talking, a juicer.
Yeah.
And organic carrots, organic celery, organic cucumber, organic apples, melons of all types, big chunks of fresh ginger. You could use fresh turmeric too. There are many good grocers will have fresh turmeric that you could use and juice as well. This is so powerful for our healing. And it's also imperative to keep moving. Like your lymphatic system, it doesn't have a pump to it. And so you could think of that as your body's septic system. How does it flush itself? Well, through your physical activity. Mm-hmm. And so, we need to stay moving. When I was at a Qigong convention with some of the top practitioners globally, in the entire world, the best of the best, one thing I noticed is that as we went through practices, they stressed purgation more than I expected them to. I was a little bit surprised, but it's something that has stood with me. So when we're doing purgation, which could be simply a motion like bouncing up and down on your toes, or you could use a rebounder like getting on a trampoline and bouncing. You want to create vibration. Again, everything is about vibration and frequency, and you don't want stagnation. So we need to oxygenate the body to keep it alkaline and to keep flushing out toxins. It's great to sweat out. Cindy does almost every single day her sauna with this little portable sauna that she has, and she's used for years and years and years. And I think it's under $200. So, you don't have to have a fancy gym membership or anything like that. You can go ahead and get something like that and sweat and detox, because our environment is absolutely loaded with toxins. Absolutely loaded.
It is. And sorry, and the sauna that I have, it's a far infrared sauna too. So that's another thing that helps you detox, is that kind of a light or that kind of heat. And it's about 200 to 20. You can probably find them maybe on eBay a little bit cheaper. So, and it's very low EMF.
Yeah. And, she uses it just about every single day. And that's really imperative in these times, to keep detoxing. And wonderful to hear of such good results from everybody that has been using medicinal foods for items. And here they do have a nano silver solution that can help with a lot of things, as far as healing cuts, scrapes, sores, and protecting against pathogens and bacteria. And every time you do order from medicinal foods, it does support our, the family here and help us to keep reaching out and informing you guys. So thanks for being part of the family. Make sure you're subscribed with the bell clicked. Share as much as you can so we keep waking people up to everything that's going on in the world. Thanks for your support, all you Patreons and Ko-Fi supporters. We appreciate you. Couldn't do it without you guys. And if you need to set up an appointment, it's evolutionaryenergyarts@gmail.com or EEARTS@protonmail.com. And that could be from anything from Vedic charts to energy work to spiritual coaching and just talking about wellness issues as well. Many people just simply set up appointments and just have questions, and that's perfectly fine. So as always, guys, stay prepared, stay healthy, God bless, and namaste.
Namaste.